There it is.
Okay.
All right, you're good to go.
This is the January CPOC Commissioner meeting. It is hereby called to order. The time is 6:06 p.m. My name is Jolly Hatchet. I am the chair of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, and I will facilitate this meeting. This is a public meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commissioners that was properly advertised pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. At this time, I would ask that roll call be taken. If someone can take roll.
All right. Jolly Hatchet,
Present.
Rosa Hussein,
Present.
Benjamin Lerner,
Present.
Hassan Bennett, John Solomon, Melanie DeBose, Mariela Santiago,
Present.
Rosaura Thomas. Oh, I saw you here.
He's present, looks like.
There you go.
He's
Okay.
waving.
Hakeem PA.
He's present, but looks like he's muted.
Present.
Got it. Okay, we have 6 in attendance and 3 absent. Are any of these absences excused, Chair?
I was not, no,
Okay,
and I don't know if Afrosia spoke to anyone, but none of them reached out to me.
okay, so we have 6 present, 3 absent. We have a quorum and the meeting may continue.
All right, the only thing, pretty much the only thing on the agenda today, 2 things on the agenda. The first thing, which is the approval of the December public meeting minutes, which was previously circulated. And thank you again to the CPOC staff for being able to take the the meeting minutes rather. Everyone should have had the opportunity to look at them. They've been circulated. If everyone is okay, or unless there's any changes, additions, or corrections, we need a motion to move forward with the approval of that agenda.
So moved.
Does anyone second that?
I second that.
Thank you. And that's approval of the agenda as well as the meeting minutes. Thank you. Are there any community comments?
I don't think we
No
have
one-
anyone present.
No one sent anything and currently no one's present.
All right, thank you. Since there aren't any community comments and it doesn't look like we have a lot of people right now, are there any general comments from anyone that's on the Zoom? All right,
Well,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. You want to go? I have a couple and I imagine you have a couple. You want me to
Go
go
ahead, Jeff.
first?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Obviously, this is the first meeting of our first full year. I think we've seen a lot of things, one of which is that there is a real need in the city for the work that this commission was structured and created in order to be able to do. The other, there are an awful lot of handicaps in our way during a period of post-pandemic and when still most meetings are being done the way we're doing this one rather than in person. I think maybe it's a good thing, I think, for the commission to have a couple of sessions where it's just us. Because I think we need to have some serious discussions about whether or not we're satisfied with our ability to communicate with each other, with our ability to discuss and create and supervise the administration of commission policy. And if we're not, what we as commissioners can do and what we've learned in these past several months since our appointment so that we can make this better. Personally, I believe we have a terrific staff, and the staff's done a tremendous amount of work and had several, what I would say from my prior experience with the previous commission, the staff's had several really remarkable accomplishments. On the other hand, we're in a different world now. If we want to be a commission whose commissioners are really setting policy and making a difference, I think that burden is on us to spend a lot more time with each other in this, especially in the early part of this coming year, not only to do specific things, like right now there are two employment commissions for the two highest staff offices on the commission, but also to talk generally about what we would like to accomplish, what our major goals are, what we're required to do, and how to do that. And I would be, I know that it's easier for somebody like me to talk about the advantages of in-person meetings because I have, for purposes of this commission, a much more favorable schedule and also a much more favorable geographical location vis-a-vis the commission offices than virtually any of my colleagues. But my very strong feeling is we've got to, among ourselves, figure out just how much time and under what circumstances we want to be running this commission, and what that means to each of us and to us as a group. I'm looking forward to a significant opportunity to spend a lot more time with all of you in this coming year. And I hope the possibility of your spending a lot more time with you does not immediately cause you to write your city councilman to have me removed from the commission.
Of course not. And we are always here to serve in that capacity. So if there is, if any of you want to meet in small groups or larger groups or an executive session as a whole group, we are always here to facilitate in person or online, whatever, or a hybrid for whatever works better for anybody, really at any time. I think that we can also just for, because I know that some of you haven't actually met everyone else on the commission yet. So I think that maybe later in January, we'll try to organize maybe a meet and greet down at the office, to attend if you're able. And, and we'll see if we can work that out, and hopefully a bunch of everyone, staff included, can attend and get to know each other a little bit better as we begin the new year.
Are there any other comments? Thank you, Judge. I'll touch base with you offline regarding that.
May I speak, Chairperson? Yeah, I agree with Judge Lerner 150%. One of the things, as I recall, the main reason why we all decided to become commissioners is that sometimes we have to make the time to come together as commissioners to get to know one another and I don't want to seem redundant or anything, but it's important that we together can help our community and bring them accountability, as Hassan has said, and I've said many times when it involves domestic violence. But I agree with Judge Lerner 150%, and I know that I know I have to watch how I say it, but we must come together as a group, chairperson, and I hope you agree with me on that. But I agree 150% with Judge Lerner. And thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much, because I'm looking forward to, I met everyone, but I'm looking forward to being around the entire group. And I'm sure Judge Lerner and the rest of the group feels the same way.
I do want to make one minor note. I think Commissioner Solomon joined us. I did note that and mark his presence.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any other comments? Not hearing any other comments at this point. I think it's time for the executive director report. Anthony, will you be giving the report?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so for the executive director's report tonight, the first thing I want to touch on is commissioner compensation. We had been reaching out for several months to the administration to try to get that moving along, and we did not meet a lot of, it did not go that well. So, but thanks to Jali's intervention over the last couple of weeks, we actually got a little movement. But we also have essentially a two-part sort of path to compensation. So we're meeting with HR to go through that process. That would create an employee number and a sort of timesheet system for you guys to use that would sort of categorize you all as employees of the city, which I'm a little nervous about, only because it may create conflicts with if you are formerly an employee of another entity with wherever it is you currently work. So the other alternative to that is an invoicing system where you're compensated for your appearance. You're not formal employees. So we're trying to do that one first to see because one, it's a lot faster and it's a lot less convoluted of a process. And it may prevent you guys from having to explain a quasi-employee relationship to an employer or other entities that may, like, for example, if you have a city pension and you are now sort of re-employed by the city, can you still collect it? They're just questions that could be a pain in the rear end moving down. So we're going to try to avoid that by going this alternative route. But that exploration will be brief, because I know that it has already been far too long for you guys to be compensated for your time, and we want to get it moving as soon as humanly possible. So when I say we're holding off on one end, I mean days. I don't mean weeks or months. So we're going to try to explore this as quickly as possible and get some resolution, and hopefully we'll have something for you guys by the next meeting. Otherwise, as an update for the year 2022, we had 124 complaints that we forwarded that came through us and were forwarded to internal affairs. That is not the total of complaints. Those are just the total of complaints against police that came through us as the conduit. We actually did a whole lot this year. So we came into existence, which was something that was years in the making and an incredible accomplishment. But in general, we have our auditing and monitoring unit for the year. We're finishing up trying to resolve the last 6 months of completed complaints that are being audited by our team. And we're also trying to organize what this means going forward. Now that we have the information, now that we've begun, we're going to start analyzing how it's working and what we can do with it. And that's from a data perspective and from a reporting perspective to the police department. Regarding that issue, we're also going to try to, now that we have some staff and some mechanisms in place to conduct audits, to reevaluate our monitoring component, because we're hiring now. So we're going to have some more staff. We're hopefully going to be able to do some more real-time monitoring of complaints. And we're going to figure out what that means and what our work product looks like. And that's what we're going to be doing the first quarter of this year regarding auditing and monitoring. Our community engagement and outreach unit was something that previously really didn't exist. And this year it's sort of really begun to flower. CPOC attended 58 community events in 2022. We did a NACOL presentation on Oversight in Philadelphia that had over 100 attendees across the country. We attended the NACOL conference where we, tried to advocate for our agency and show everybody what we've done, what we can do, and also get, some good ideas and experience from our partners around the country. Our social media presence has increased. Our community interaction and visibility has increased. We are, that section is on the Philadelphia Legal Evictions Actions team. And we are also beginning to do post-town hall surveys to gauge community interest and how they're responding to the topics of discussion in our community meetings. We're also hiring more constituent services and community outreach specialists, and we are focusing on bilingual service delivery in this batch of hiring so we can more effectively address the diverse community in Philadelphia. Our policy team is now, we're doing a lot of policy hiring because we're moving some staff into supervisory positions, and we're going to hire more so we can actually start on refocusing on service delivery while we're doing the agency build out. And the idea there is to be able to kind of do both in real time, where we're building out and delivering service, expanded service as we build out. So it's not a, hey, wait and check in with us next year. It's more of a look what we're doing now and look at also what we're going to be. We're also trying to we're doing a batch of hiring now, but we also have to reorganize our facility to accommodate the new hires and start the process for general expansion. So while we are going to be able to accommodate our new hires and hopefully create a little, some workstations in case commissioners want to utilize the offices for themselves for commission business. We're going to also be looking at either expansion within this 1515 or expansion in our building, or relocation to a more suitable or a place that will accept our growth. Now, I know I touched briefly on hiring. We are hiring for multiple positions. So if you guys can forward those to your networks, I'm sure you guys know people that would be interested in this work and contributing to the cause. So if there's anybody, any positions that you feel might fit people in your networks, please forward those positions to them if you can. Most exciting is we're hiring a director of investigations to begin our exploration into our investigative capacity. So that's going to be exciting, and that'll be interesting all the way around. But once that gets going, that's really going to launch us. So it's we have a whole lot to do this year and probably for years to come. So it's January is always pretty exciting for me because it seems like sort of a time of rebirth, and hopefully this year is going to be more exciting than the last, although I don't know if my heart can take more excitement. But in general, that's our executive director's report. And obviously, if there are any comments, questions, or guidance, please now's the time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Will we meet the new employees and the new director for investigation?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
the idea is that you'll really, my hope is as we expand, you'll know all staff very well.
Okay.
And also we are open once that process begins. I mean, and even now, if you'd like to get to know staff better, we're always around. And if you guys want to come down and hang out with us for the day and talk shop and explore a little bit, that's always welcome.
Thank you.
Barry Ellis, I see your hand raised.
Okay, so I was just wondering, I know that I always see posts about the recent events, and I know I brought this up at the last meeting, but do we have like a monthly calendar or something where, that can be shared to say, this night we're going to be here, this night we're going to be here, at least as early in advance as possible so that we can kind of try to accommodate making any of those events. I'm really interested in that, considering how many events the commission has done, and how many of them we could have definitely had some commissioners at. Then the other thing is, I know that there were these one little page
Palm cards.
handout with the districts. Has
Yeah,
that been translated?
I don't think we have it translated yet. Danny, do we?
Yeah, Christian
Yes.
got all of them
Okay.
translated. We have them in, I think, all 9 languages that the city dubs as net languages that they want things translated in. And we got a big bulk order of ones in Spanish, and then the other 8 languages, I think we got like 200 or 300 of each just to start. And if we need more, we can print them as needed.
And we
So
can
I-
deliver you guys each a batch of those. So if you're out and about and you want to hand them out, or I mean, we can get all those too, just like the business cards. We can deliver them. You can come get them, or hopefully in a couple weeks we'll all see each other and maybe we can deliver them then.
Because
That
I've
would
been
be
thinking
great.
with all that's going around, it'd be really cool to, and I know that we all respectively represent different districts, but work among others. It would be so cool to get some of these pamphlets out, some of this information to the local nonprofits where people are coming in and out. That way they have it. I know that I had took some from the last meeting we went to at the West Kensington Ministry, I think it was, and they were really popular. They all left and people are like, oh, do you have more? So I'm like, I have to get more. But they also asked about the Spanish ones and I didn't have any of those. So I'd be really interested in continuing to share all that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you guys come up, I mean, our outreach team is really great at finding and attending these kinds of events. But if you guys have things in your areas or in your networks that you feel like we should be at, let us know and we'll do everything we can to make sure that we table there or get there.
Okay.
One of the things before I'm done. So I work for Esperanza, and Esperanza, as I work for the cyber school, but as the bigger umbrella, we have under us a career link, a college, multiple schools, and then the nonprofit. And we service what they consider the Latin corridor, which is the Hunting Park, the 5th Street section. I'd be interested in possibly setting up like an info session for the community to have CPOC come out, to formally introduce them to the Latin corridor, obviously invite Hunting Park, because they've been very supportive in that. And so I'm going to get together with Angel, who's the head of Impacto newspaper, because we also own the newspaper, so that we can coordinate that, possibly put it out on the newspaper. So whoever the best contact for that is, please reach out to me so that we can kind of get that ball rolling. I go back to work on Monday, and I want to make sure that that's one of the New Year things that we do for our community.
Okay, no problem. I will reach out to you tomorrow.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Judge.
Yeah, I don't want to, if anybody else has anything to say, I want to back off, but there's a couple of issues that I would like to raise with Anthony's report, which I think tie into the comments that I made earlier in the meeting. And they definitely have a common thread of just raising the issue of to what extent the commission and the people on the commission are going to be playing a role in these items, including the ones that Anthony's just reported on. And I want to make it clear, the opinions that I'm about to express are only my opinions. I don't know whether anybody else on the commission feels the same way about either of these issues or anything else. But I think they're worth discussing. First of all, with regard to the compensation issue, the source for the compensation issue is in the legislation. It was City Council, not us, who decided that commissioners should get a specific reimbursement for the public meetings that the legislation requires us to hold, participate in, and in some cases, participate with the public in. I deeply appreciate the fact that the staff, the most senior part of the staff, has been working very hard on these issues on our behalf. But I understand something else. And I understand this from my previous position with the city and my work with as the officer in the managing director's office, who was supposed to be this administration's liaison to the Police Advisory Commission. And what I understand is that the administration is full of people who are not at all interested in having this commission succeed as a fully independent, strong body. And a lot of those people that I saw and heard and watched taking that position back in the 2016-17 era are still there. It seems to me that there is a real question about whether or not it's appropriate for us to expect council, our staff, I mean, to completely carry the water for us on this issue. I know I brought this up before and it went over like a lead balloon, but I think this is an issue where we might decide that this is important enough for us to be involved. There are several ways in which we could be involved. I'll only mention two of them. One is to have a commission, our commission officers or some delegation from the commission be part of the negotiations that are going on with the city department. And that's not because I have any doubt about the commitment or the ability of our staff people, but I do have doubts about the real desire on the other side of this to translate council's requirement into actual results. And I think that we can provide a lot of assistance to the staff in lighting fires here. Also, I think there is the opportunity or the opportunity for us as commission members through the commission through the commission itself to go and ask for some support from the people in city council who created us and who were the ones who put in this provision for compensation. I don't think any of us would have said when we were being interviewed by the selection committee, oh, we are not interested in this position unless you give us a stipend or travel expenses, legitimate expenses, for instance, getting to and from meetings. Unless we get that kind of compensation, we're not interested in this job. I could be wrong, but I'd be very surprised if for anybody on our commission that what made this a go for any of us was, oh, we're going to get a couple of $100 for this. So it was council's decision to put this in. Now, it's true and I don't know whether commission members are aware of this, but we just lost one of our premier advocates in city council one of the authors of this legislation, has decided to resign from her position with Councilman Jones and run for judge, which would be great for the Common Pleas Court.
Judge, I don't know if she announced yet.
Well, I had heard she was announcing yesterday, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'm spilling any secrets in any place
No,
where
no,
it's,
you're not. It's all over Facebook.
yeah, that's okay. Okay. But still, this is the council that created us. This is the council that put this provision in there. And I don't think it would be untoward of us to say, look, we're having trouble getting the city to do what you ordered them to do. Do you have any suggestions? Can you help us out here?
We can absolutely try
Well,
to
Anthony,
indicate
if you,
schedule a meeting. And I
one
will
second.
see, no, Scott.
I just want to share with the fellow commissioners that after our last meeting, so the compensation is for our public meetings. Last month was our first public meeting. Granted that this is something that should have been set up in advance of our first public meeting. There was ample time to do so. It wasn't, right? So after the last meeting, our public meeting, I reached out directly to the managing director's office. And I copied Anthony and Danny on the correspondence. They did follow up. And I believe at that point in time, Anthony and Danny had scheduled meetings with them. The fellow commissioners were not copied on that. But I mean, I don't have an issue with you all attending those meetings. I was going to attend and fully participate in those meetings. But with me, I don't have an issue if the fellow commissioners participate. But Anthony, you can go ahead and advise whatever you wanted to advise.
Oh,
Well, let
I
me
was
just
actually going
say
to say
I
the same thing. I was just
apologize.
going to acknowledge the fact that your intervention actually sparked.
That's all, that's
sparked
fine.
something.
That's fine. That, as far as I'm concerned, that makes everything that I said a non-issue. And I'm happy to hear that. The other point that you made, which I want to comment on though, has to do with the hiring the director of investigations. And I think that's great. And I think we ought to be able to attract a really good experienced position, a really good experienced person for the job. But I also think that we're missing something. If at the time you are proceeding with hiring that investigator, who we will all, I assume, ultimately meet, we ought to be having discussions with you and with whoever the candidate's going to be about how we think the investigative function ought to be organized, how it ought to be run, what it ought to include, because there's a lot of different ways in which that could go. The commission, as you know, has the authority in this statute to either conduct its own investigations or to participate fully in the police internal affairs investigations. I think the commission and the staff need to have some discussions and make some decisions about how we want that to work. And that ought to be part of the process of hiring. So I guess my point here is, I think you're doing a great job. And every time I meet somebody else, somebody new on the staff, I'm like, wow, this is a great person for this job. But aren't we in this together?
Absolutely, Your Honor. And I'm happy to discuss that function and all of those plans. So I mean, if you'd like me to give an overview now of what the sort of, I can give you what sort of the basic plan was, and then you guys can offer feedback, or we can discuss it in an executive session. Either one is fine with me.
Well, I think that's something that we ought to do, not tonight. but at some point where we could be a little bit more prepared for
Sure.
what the proposal is and discuss the proposal. But I do think this is like everything significant that we're going to be doing. This involves not only, or if this is going to work the way I think it's designed to work, what you're doing should not be separate from what we as a commission are doing in discussing and making decisions about how we want to use this very significant investigative power that the city council's given us.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'm definitely happy to discuss at any time in a small group or a larger group, and an executive session at any time.
I think unless otherwise, we should put it on the agenda for February. And if there are materials available ahead of February, we should circulate those so everyone is prepared to have that conversation.
Okay, I can.
Sounds good to me.
Regarding that.
I have a question for Jolly. May I? As a commissioner, I'm wondering why we were not included in regards to, I hear you, in regards to talking to city council, or whoever is in charge over there. And by listening to Judge Lerner, it is obvious, and I always knew this, but no one has approached me. And maybe they think, you know, I'm a little emotional, but I had a feeling that they're expecting us to fail, but I'm not a failure. And I'm going to do everything, but I want to be included in everything, no matter the littlest tedious thing. Let us know as commissioners. If you send us emails and meetings, then let us know what's going on and why we're not included in other things. Am I making sense?
Yes and no. In terms of being included, it was actually on the agenda, and I reached out to Anthony to have him provide an update since it came up at the last meeting. And I imagined, and based on my correspondences with Anthony, that he would provide you all with an update, which consisted of me reaching out, them setting up meetings and have a little more of an answer than what we had last time. In terms of, I understand your request to be included in everything, no matter how big or how small. I don't have an issue with that. However, sometimes I think certain things in the moment and trying to get things done, it just requires an email to, I forget the name of the woman, whomever it was, as opposed to the woman with Anthony and 9 other commissioners on it. So, I mean, that was my rationale in terms of trying to get an answer for everyone and doing it expeditiously, and then being able to report back.
Okay.
And I think some things, and again, I don't disagree. I understand totally what you're saying. But in my experience, not necessarily with CPOC, but in my experience, some things become convoluted when there becomes more cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, but you can get things done quicker.
Well,
I'm done.
if I wasn't so senile, I would have remembered that, Jolly, and I would not even have raised that issue. But as far as I'm concerned, you're exactly the person who you and Afroza are the leadership of the commission. That's exactly the people who ought to be carrying the ball for us on this. And I'm happy you're doing it.
Well, thank you, Judge, but I'll just reiterate, I have no issue if commissioners want to be copied on every correspondence. That's totally fine. I mean, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to gain. You know, I'm just trying to always act on the best behalf of the commission and just trying to do things expeditiously.
Okay,
Hassan Bennett is present now, if that can be noted.
Duly noted.
I took the time till he added it to the minutes.
Does anyone else have any concerns? We will be having these meetings every month. I imagine the more that we have these meetings, the more that there will be things on the agenda. And if anyone, I did, so that's something where people, there's a request to be included in information sharing and everything like that. I sent the proposed agenda out with solicitations of what should be included. I don't think, other than 1 or 2 people, I don't think I received a response from anyone. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns or anything like that based on what Anthony provided? Judge, do you have anything else? I don't know if you were finished.
I am. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? The last thing I'll say is, Hassan, good evening. I know you came on. I sent an email, Judge. I believe you did get the email and responded already regarding the executive director search.
Yep.
Hassan, if you could take a look at that and get back, we would like to start moving again on that next week. And I'll reach out to Elder DeBose. I haven't seen or heard from her since the last meeting. If anyone has heard from her, let me know. But other than that, I'll reach out to her. If there aren't any other questions, concerns, or comments at this point, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
night.
Happy New Year. I apologize.
Happy New Year.
Take
Happy
care,
New Year,
everybody.
everyone. Take care.